Although the most notable advancement in military technology from World War II to the Korean War was the development of the jet fighter, tanks also had made considerable advancements. The outbreak of the Korean conflict put much of this technology to the test, given the difficult countryside of the Korean peninsula. The vehicles are separated into four groups: North Korea and the Chinese versus South Korea and the United Nations. The North Koreans and Chinese each have 12 vehicles and 18 anti-vehicle cards, while the South Koreans and the UN have 10 vehicles each, but the South Koreans have 15 anti-vehicle cards, while the UN has 17 anti-vehicle cards. While North Korea did not manufacture any tanks or heavy vehicles, they did rely on equipment sent by the Soviet Union. The Soviet tanks included in the expansion begin with the classic T-34 armed with the 85mm gun, one of the most highly produced tanks during World War II. The IS-2 heavy tank made its initial appearance in 1944, replacing the KV-1. Its main feature was the massive 122mm gun, which was quite powerful and slow to reload. The GAZ-67 was the successor to the GAZ-64. It was the Soviet equivalent to the American Jeep. The BA-4 armored car was built on the chassis of the GAZ-67. It entered service in 1941 and remained the only armored car the Soviets ever produced. While it may be surprising to see the inclusion of two American tanks, the M3 Stuart and M4 Sherman, entering service in 1941 and 1942 respectively, they were part of the Lend-Lease program between the U.S. and Soviet Union during World War II. The Chinese vehicles are virtually identical to the North Korean vehicles in this Warfighter expansion. During the initial stages of the war, the South Koreans did not have any heavy tanks or weaponry to stop the North Korean assault, so it's not surprising that virtually all the tanks and armored vehicles are American-made. The M4 Sherman and M24 Chaffee both saw action during World War II. Both vehicles were still in service at the time and provided to the South Korean Army once the UN arrived on the scene. The M26 Pershing arrived just at the end of World War II. It represented a significant upgrade in technology, and it served as the design basis for the M46 Patton. The Patton entered service in 1949 and was the principal medium tank of the American Armed Forces at the time. The anti-vehicle cards for both sides mirror the vehicles included for each of the forces represented. The other anti-vehicle cards, or hostiles, are soldiers who target vehicles, or event-type cards that punish opposing vehicles. After China's entry, the war in Korea dragged on with both sides advancing and retreating across the peninsula. It was not until July 27, 1953, that a ceasefire agreement was made, but the war itself has never officially ended.